Before we start this morning, I just have just one issue that I want to deal with very quickly. This is day number 5 in this trial. And already I've had occasion on which I had to warn people in court, tell them how to behave. This is not something that I like to do, especially when I'm dealing with people who should know better. I'm talking to both the public as well as the media. From now onwards, if anyone is seen to misbehave or conduct himself or herself in a way that you shouldn't, you will be removed forcefully from this court, and you will not get an opportunity to come back or even to go to the overflow. I just hope that won't have to happen. I just hope it won't have to happen. Because it will be done. If you misbehave, you'll be chucked out. I hope everyone understands me. I've just been reminded, the media asked for certain exhibits. The exhibits that are allowed are available. If you could just approach Suzette, she'll be able to assist you. Thank you. You're still under oath, Doctor?
I remember. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Roux?
Thank you, my lady. Dr. Stipp, no doubt that you know that it's really important that you remain objective in your evidence.
Yes, I do.
And no doubt you know that that what you should not do is to tailor your evidence to accommodate the state's version.
I do.
I'm going to deal with some concerns that I have, and I don't want to put it any higher than that. And that is on some of the aspects. We know one thing, and I put that to you, that when you woke up that morning because of the shots, that there was some time delay before you heard the screaming, not so?
That's correct.
There was some time delay?
Yes, moments.
Well, you say moments again. Do you want me to go through the process? What is your definition of moments?
A few seconds I would regard as moments.
Well, I will ask someone to put the cell phone stopwatch on if you want, but let me ask you the questions and we go through it. You wake up. You hear the shots. Now, you're in bed. You must now realize those are gunshots, not so. That's step one.
I thought they were gunshots, yeah. Yes. I told my wife so.
Then you have a conversation, short. You have a conversation with your wife. She wanted to know what it was.
Like I said before, I wouldn't call it a conversation. We exchanged thoughts about what it could be, and in the process of that exchange, I was in the motion of getting out of bed.
But I understand that's time. That's not a few seconds, that's already time. Then she didn't want you to go.
Well, by the time we were at that point of discussion, I was already on my feet beside the bed.
Yeah, but it's time. It's not a moment. There's some time to it. She says, I don't want you to go. That in itself would not be a moment. That's a couple of seconds. That in itself.
Well, like I said, a moment, a couple of seconds.
Yes.
It's about the same.
And then you go out to the balcony.
That's right.
Yeah. So when I'm saying moments would be, with respect, an exaggeration.
I wouldn't say it's an exaggeration.
Yes. Understand? Let's get to the second point. You give evidence, you gave it yesterday, to say what you heard in respect of the screaming was 3 or 4 times extremely fearful, severe emotional anguish, almost scared out of her mind.
That's what it sounded like, correct?
Yes. I read it again. 3 or 4 times, extremely fearful, severe emotional anguish, almost scared out of her mind. That was your evidence.
That's correct.
I don't have to deal with you on your statements, Doctor. You're a radiologist. You know exactly what's in your statements to the police, the first and second statement, not so?
That's correct.
Yes. In your statements, and I take your first statement, for instance, it talks about 2 or 3 screams.
That's correct.
I object. It would only be fair if the witness is given the opportunity to consult his statement if he's been cross-examined from
I
it.
think that's how it's done through.
Yes, my lady, I thought because I asked him that he's aware of his statement, I'll do it. Mr. Stipp, I'll ask the state to take out both statements. I'll do it. Because I thought that you said that you know what's in your statements and so on.
Well, we don't know. He may know what's in his.
My lady, I was not intended to prove the whole statement. It's just certain aspects. But it makes no difference.
Okay.
That would then be, my lady, Exhibit P for the first statement. My lady, if the court would bear with me, we don't have copies because I didn't plan to go to the statements, but it's really a short sentence that I will read out to him.
I'm not sure I should allow that.
My lady, in that case, that we would just need time then to make a photocopy. I can maybe go to different questions in the meantime.
Yes,
and just get the
I
2
think so.
statements and ask the clerk here to make copies. Andrea, is it both of them? Just can I get copies? My lady, they will see that copies will be made, and you're rightly entitled to have that before you, my lady. Mr. Stipp, as a matter of interest, can you remember what you said in your statement, your first statement about the screams?
I don't remember word for word. I do remember that the number 3 was there, so I heard at least 3 screams. It could be more, maybe it could have been slightly less.
Do you say you can remember that you heard at least 3 screams?
Yes.
You would not have said 2 to 3.
Well, I would need my statement just to verify. But
Yes.
2 to 3 would still mean 3 also.
Yeah. Assuming for the moment, we're coming back to it, if it was 2 to 3, what is significant, I want to put to you, that a 2 to 3 would become from 2 to 3 screams to 3 to 4 very emotional screams. It increases, that's all I put to you.
I made the first statement at my place of work in between patients, meaning that I was actually pressed for time.
Yes?
So that's why my first statement, I also think, is much shorter and maybe has less facts in it than my second statement, which was done at my house in the company of Captain Mike van Aert.
Can you remember yourself saying in your second statement that it could be more than 3? Or don't you remember?
I think in my second statement, I also mentioned the number 3.
So let's go to the third point. I'm dealing with the bathroom lights. My understanding in your statement is that you saw, and we'll get to it in your evidence, there was the screaming, then you looked at a house to the right after the screaming. You saw that all the lights were on. You looked at the house to the left of that house, which we know is Mr. Pistorius' house, and you saw that the bathroom light was on. Would that be correct?
That's what I said, yes.
However, in your evidence later on, you what you first saw, and I know it's part of the state's case to have the light on as soon as possible, that I can tell you. So what you first saw is this. I saw the lights on the house to the right, all the lights on, and also the bathroom light, and we know you refer now to Mr. Pistorius. And And then the screaming started.
That's correct. So I went outside on the patio. I walked to the side, to the railing, looked out, saw the lights, heard the screaming.
We'll go to your statement, and in the beginning of your evidence, which I may say is in accordance with your statements that we'll get to, you said something else. You said, I heard the woman screaming. I tried to ascertain.
Are you reading from the statement now?
No, my lady.
No.
It's evidence. No, I wouldn't do it now, my lady, until the statement would come.
Okay.
It would be wrong of me.
All right.
I wanted to ascertain from plus minus where the screams were coming from. And then you go to the process of looking.
Well, it is simultaneous events. I mean, nothing happens in episodes. Everything happens at once. So you walk out, you see lights, you hear screaming, you look. While you hear, while you see, you also look. So everything happens at once. To try and say ascertained first, then listened, or first listened, then ascertained, is really not accurate.
It is, Doctor, it is. And we just need an objective and as accurate as possible reflection. So what I'm saying to you, and we'll get to the statements, what I'm saying to you, that your evidence that you first saw the lights on and then the screaming would not accord with what you said earlier. And it could not have been simultaneous because you said you heard the screaming and then you wanted to see where the screaming was coming from. Not as you stated that you looked at the lights and then the screaming.
The way I put it was to inform the court of my process of thinking, not to my actions at that moment, because my actions were actually all those processes in one. So you must remember, I'm a radiologist, so I look at an image. While I'm looking at that image, I'm talking, I'm looking, I'm seeing. It all happens at once. I'm trying to do that.
But it would have been easy to say that right in the beginning, Doctor. It would have been easy. I'm sorry, Matt.
I wanted to be quite clear about what was happening, so I can't say everything at once. It wouldn't make sense.
Doctor, I've put it to you. We'll argue later that there's a contradiction there, but I'll come back to it once I have your statement. Tell me about the last screaming that you heard from a man. When was that?
That sounded to me like it was intermingled with the female voice screaming.
I'm talking about the help, help, help screaming.
That occurred when I finished talking to the guards. As I was talking to the guards, I was moving around. When I finished speaking to the guards, I found myself again outside on the patio.
How many times did you phone the security?
Twice.
My understanding is that the first time you could not get through and the second time you spoke to them.
That's right.
Are you sure that the first time you did not get through?
Yes, I am.
Are you sure that you spoke to them the second time?
Yes, I am.
And are you sure that it was after speaking to them the second time that you heard the screaming?
Yes, that's right.
The state made available to us, and I won't refer to your telephone number, Doctor, we have that. I won't make that mistake again. But the state made available to us the records to the security so that we can see it. The first call you could not get through, it's null. We have the record. By the state, it's not ours. I apologize, the first call you did speak to them. The second call, there was no answer. On the state's documents.
Well, that is not correct, because I phoned security. If I spoke to them and they answered, I would not have phoned the other 2 numbers trying to get help, which I did.
I'm putting something to you, but because the records will be before court through the state, we have them. The state has a copy. The first call is 0 seconds. You could not get 16 seconds. The second call, it says no answer.
I phoned the security guards and there was no answer. Then I proceeded to call 10111 because there were no answer the first time. After that I also called another number, an 082 number. I couldn't really remember what their emergency number was. And when that didn't work out, I phoned security again. And that time they answered. And then
we have to call to work it out. We have to call to work it out exactly. I'll take you to the next point there. That call was, you heard the help, help, help after speaking on your version to security.
No. Sorry, yes, that's correct.
And you said they were on their way to your house, but before they arrived, you heard the help, help, help.
It was shortly after I finished speaking to them that I heard the help, help, help.
We know what time you spoke. Not spoke, you made a call. That we have. It's 3:27 and 14 seconds. Would that more or less make sense?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the times.
That time when you would have, according to you, because you heard the help, 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 it must then be after 3:27 because it's after that call, you say.
Well, if that was the time of the call, then it was after that call, yes.
We have the call to Netcare by Mr. Stander. You were with him when he made the call.
From Oscar's house?
Yes.
Yes.
That's 3:28.
Well, I have to go and look at the phone logs because I also phoned the Wilgmet emergency care while he was on the phone. So I'm sure I could be able to get my own phone log to see what my phone said the time of the call was.
No, of course, Doctor. Now you're at Mr. Pistorius' house. You walk in, you spoke to a female person, and what is it that you observed as you walked in?
As I walked in, Reeva, as I found out later, was lying on her back on the floor, and Oscar, as I also learned later, was kneeling by her side, and he was trying to open the airway and trying to, I think, stop bleeding from her right thigh wound.
And he instructs me that when you told him that you were a doctor, what he desperately wanted from you is that you must help her.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's when you went through the process.
That's correct.
Now, I want to deal with the state's version. That the way I understand it from yesterday. There may be two. The first one would be in the further particulars. You're not part of that, but we have a process that we can ask the state to give us certain detail about the case for purposes of understanding what the state's case is. And it is this. In relation to at paragraphs 5.2, 5.3 and 5.5. Before I get there, I'm sorry, let me ask you this first. You heard shots thereafter, whatever short time period, you heard screams, whether now 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, not important for present purposes. Then screams. Those screams consisted of two things: a woman screaming and a man screaming. Would that be correct as far?
The 2 to 3, 3 to 4 screams consisted of a woman screaming most of the time, and then maybe once or twice, intermingled with that, a man's voice.
Yes.
Also
So it's a woman screaming and a man, in that process.
Yes, yes.
And then, in relation to the screaming from there on,
Well, then I obviously thought that I should get help, and I went back inside the house to my phone.
if I take the loudness of the screaming that you heard, would you have heard it in the house as well with the open doors? Or was it something that you could only hear when you're standing on the balcony?
Well, I went back inside the house to phone, and I was on the phone, ringing in my ear. If there were any more screams, I probably would not have heard it.
And when you heard the shots, the boom, well, I don't know if it's boom, boom, or boom, boom, boom. We'll get back to that. Did you hear any screaming?
I heard the boom, boom, boom. I didn't hear any screaming after that, no.
Did you hear at the same time as the, let's call them shots for the moment. We will submit that to the court and through the evidence that those were not shots. It was a cricket bat. Doesn't matter. Let's call them, just for present purposes, second shots. Second noise. During that noise, immediately before and during that, any screams?
Immediately before, I did not hear screams because I was on the phone. I used my left ear when I call. I was standing near the open door, which is also to my left. So I probably had compromised hearing at that stage.
I understand that. It's important. You were standing near the open door.
That's right.
Yes. You did not hear immediately before, and I understand you tried to get through because you'd phone now, you tried to phone security, and then 10111. When you tried to phone security, I mean, you didn't get through. Did you hear screams then?
I did not hear screams then.
When you phoned 10111, if I'm not mistaken, you did not get through to them.
It sounded like the number was out of order.
Yes. So you did not get through to them. So it's not that you were talking on the phone.
No, I wasn't.
You're standing near the open door. You're not talking on the phone. It sounded like it's a number out of order. Did you hear blood-curdling screams?
Not at that moment, no.
Loud, blood-curdling screams?
No, I didn't.
Immediately after the shots, did you still hear a scream for a little while, moments?
No, I did not.
But then, about, we know the time, about 10 minutes later, you heard help, help, help.
I'm not sure if it's 10 minutes or what the time frame was, but definitely after the second round of shots and after speaking to security, I heard help, help, help. Time frame, I'm sorry.
Yes. I looked at the further particulars that I referred to, and I want to ask you about this. It is at paragraph 5.2, 5.3, and 5.5. It says in paragraph 3, Johan Stipp and Annette Stipp heard shots, followed by screams of a woman and then further shots. The screams were extinguished at the time of the last shots. That you did not hear.
I heard screaming, then I went inside the house. I didn't hear any screams while I was inside the house, except for the shots.
Why I'm asking you this, Mrs. Berger gave evidence, and Mr. Johnson, both of them testified to the effect that immediate before the 3:17, so we all know we're talking about the second noises, shots, whatever you want to call it, the second noises. They heard blood-curdling, fearful screaming, and that carried on during the time of the shots and faded away after the shots. And they were about double the distance from your house, if not more, in fact more. So what I'm trying to find out from you, you're not speaking to anyone on the telephone. You have the telephone, but you're standing near the open door. And my impression was that if it's correct what they're saying, and they said it was so loud that they could clearly hear it, they could hear the emotions in the voice, then you should and would have heard it if the screams were there. That's what I put here.
I was on the phone. I wasn't talking on the phone, but there were sounds over the loudspeaker of the phone.
Yes.
Dialing tones, stuff like that.
But it's maybe a step more than that, Doctor. They could even hear it during the shots. And you heard the shots.
I did. I did not hear any screaming while I was in the house. Why that would be? Maybe I was concentrating on getting help too intensely and shut off any screams I may have heard.
Doctor, the movement in the bathroom. And let me immediately put it to you, I'm not disagreeing what you saw there. I was trying to see from what perspective you would have seen this movement. And I was looking at the notes last night. Did you see the window from the right or the left side? Because there was a tree, can you remember? The bathroom window, because it was somehow obscure.
Yes, I do. So what was the question? The right or the left?
You looked at a window, the bathroom window.
Yes.
It would have a left and a right side. Which side did you see?
On the right side.
And I've looked at photos to see the top part, the 1/3 top part. That would be the part that was visible to you, more or less.
I remember actually seeing more of the window because my point of view was not the same as the photo that was shown to the court.
I accept that. I'm just trying to see, following your answers of yesterday. Did you see the top part? Did you see through the top part or the bottom part on the
I saw the top half of the window and the left third part of the window I could see from top to bottom.
You could see the left side, not from the right.
Maybe you can show me the photo again. I can point it out to you.
I can do that. I think that would help. I think it's 9:38. Let me just find that. There's nothing serious turns on this, Doctor. I'm trying just to find out what your view was because I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yes.
I'm just trying to see because if you'd seen the left side, it would make good sense to me. Because that window was open. The frosted glass would not have played a part. However, if you had seen the right side, that's frosted. And it would be difficult for me to understand. And that's the only reason why I'm asking. Not because I'm telling you it's not so.
Well, I saw the movement in the right-hand side, or the right window, the window that consists of 3 smaller windows. I saw the movement in that part of the window. I gather it's a bathroom window. So the movement I saw was in a bathroom window going from right to left.
Yeah. We also have no difficulty because we know Mr. Pistorius, when he came back from opening the door at the bottom, he moved indeed from right to left in the bathroom. That we know. And we know he did not have a shirt on, so that would accord with what you saw. I was just trying to see from which side you saw it, because if it's through the frosted glass, it would not make sense. And if it's through the open window, part on the left, that would make good sense. We'll just try to get the photo that you can show us.
I thought they were gunshots,
Yeah.
yes. I told my wife so.
Then you have a conversation, short, You have a conversation with your wife. She wanted to know what it was.
Like I said before, I wouldn't call it a conversation. We exchanged thoughts about what it could be, and in the process of that exchange, I was in a motion of getting out of bed.
But I understand that's time. That's not a few seconds, that's already time. Then she didn't want you to go.
Well, by the time we were at that point of discussion, I was already on my feet beside the bed.
Yeah, but it's time. It's not a moment. There's some time to it. She says, I don't want you to go. That in itself would not be a moment. That's a couple of seconds. That in itself.
Well, like I said, a moment, a couple of seconds.
Yes.
It's about the same.
And then you go out to the balcony.
That's right.
Yeah. So when I'm saying moments would be, with respect, an exaggeration.
I wouldn't say it's an exaggeration.
Yes. Understand? Let's get to the second point. You give evidence, you gave it yesterday, to say what you heard in respect of the screaming was 3 or 4 times extremely fearful, severe emotional anguish, almost scared out of her mind.
That's what it sounded like, correct?
Yes. I read it again. 3 or 4 times extremely fearful, severe emotional anguish, almost scared out of her mind. That was your evidence.
That's correct.
I don't have to deal with you on your statements, Doctor. You're a radiologist. You know exactly what's in your statements to the police, the first and second statement, not so.
That's correct.
Yes. In your statements, and I take your first statement, for instance, it talks about 2 or 3 screams, evidence to accommodate the state's version.
I do.
I'm going to deal with some concerns that I have, and I don't want to put it any higher than that. And that is on some of the aspects. We know one thing, that, and I put that to you, that when you woke up that morning because of the shots, that there was some time delay before you heard the screaming, not so?
That's correct.
There was some time delay.
Yes, moments.
Well, you say moments again. Do you want me to go through the process? What is your definition of moments?
A few seconds I would regard as moments.
Well, I will ask someone to put the cell phone stopwatch on if you want, but let me ask you the questions and we go through it. You wake up. You hear the shots. Now, you're in bed. You must now realize those are gunshots, not so. That's step 1.
I hope everyone understands me. I've just been reminded the media asked for certain exhibits. The exhibits that are allowed are available. If you could just approach Suzette, she'll be able to assist you. Thank you. You're still under oath, Doctor?
I remember. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Roux?
Thank you, my lady. Dr. Stipp, no doubt that you know that it's really important that you remain objective in your evidence.
Yes, I do.
And no doubt you know that that what you should not do is to tailor your evidence.
Before we start this morning, I just have just one issue that I want to deal with very quickly. This is day number 5 in this trial. And already I've had occasion on which I had to warn people in court, tell them how to behave. This is not something that I like to do, especially when I'm dealing with people who should know better. I'm talking to both the public as well as the media. From now onwards, if anyone is seen to misbehave or conduct himself or herself in a way that you shouldn't, you will be removed forcefully from this court and you will not get an opportunity to come back or even to go to the overflow. I just hope that won't have to happen. I just hope it won't have to happen. Because it will be done. If you misbehave, you'll be chucked out.